Welcome back to Super Mario... No, sorry. Allow me. Welcome back to Super Mario 2.
I do like how whenever you start up the game, it treats Birdo as the mascot for the game. Funnily enough.
Well, considering we fight this boss a bajillion times, yeah.
Might as well.
So you may have been a bit confused when I mentioned Birdo as either a she or he. Allow me to explain. Birdo was originally male, but became female later on.
I'm not gonna touch that.
Well, I mean, it is literally what happened.
Yeah, the subject, however, caused a gajillion different rabbit holes, so let's leave it at that.
Oh yeah. We're gonna avoid those. Just know Birdo is a she as of canon now.
Sure. Yeah,
so here we are in the desert world.
Basically, yeah. Despite being a different world than much like the Sprixie Kingdom in 3D World, this world also operates under typical Mario tropes. You have the grass world, the desert world, the fire world, and blah 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 blah. You know the drill.
You'd be wary of the quicksand, though, in this world.
Yeah, definitely.
If I recall correctly, if you die while in the mirror world, you just get sent back to the real world.
You can drain the mirror world because there are no enemies in the mirror world.
No. I mean, I feel like you can die in stuff like the quicksand or something.
Oh yeah, true.
In the mirror world.
Oh yeah, true. You're right. I don't know. I never tried it honestly, so I don't know. Honestly, whatever.
If I recall correctly, you just go back to the real world if you die in the mirror
part
world.
that I remember is that glitch that the AVGN showed that if you place up a bomb in a specific way, it disappears, but it kills you as soon as you're back to the overworld.
Indeed. Alright, might as well talk about, yeah, like I've said before, this game was actually developed by the same team, and yes, Koji Kondo did do the music for this game, so that's another, that's definitely an improvement over the Japanese sequel, because we actually have new music for this game, and yeah. The ground theme for Smash Bros. 2 is incredibly catchy and awesome. Again, Koji Kondo doesn't miss. So,
and for that reason, it would see remixes, re-releases.
I don't know exactly why it became exactly iconic for shitposting purposes. Because if you know anything, if you ever seen any video that talks about like,
and there you go. Notice the big enemy. That bigger version of the enemy is exclusive to this version. So,
yes, they applied to the Yoshi's Island process.
So hey, anyone up for some Dig Dug?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm serious. This is kind of pseudo dig dug.
Basically, yeah.
What you gotta do is dig your way down, but you also gotta avoid enemies because they can chase you down.
What
places actually inflate them to win, I'm fine.
What Jova said. Yeah, that's the basic gist of it.
I actually do like these bouts.
I guess they're not too bad. I personally think they go on for a bit longer than they need to, because you just mash the button over and over and over and over and over until you get there. I feel like you don't. Sometimes they go overboard and make these sections a bit too long, but whatever. That being said, yeah, let's see. And yeah, as you can see, there's no pipes in this game, but there's vases that you go in for these little mini bonus level thingies. Yeah. The interesting thing is that, like, the reason you still see enemies from this game in Mario games, but you don't really see. But the reason you don't really see a lot of the same kinds of means, like vases or even Subcon related concepts and stuff on the enemies, of course, is because remember, this game was not originally a Mario game, and I get the feeling Miyamoto probably still really thinks, when he thinks Mario, he genuinely always defaults back to the traditional Goomba Koopa Troopa aspect. Don't get me wrong, we have Shy Guys and Birdos in the main series now.
I can tell you that Wart, as far as I know, never showed up.
Yeah, but Wart never showed up again.
Aside from the Super Show, Mauser also did not show up again.
As well as Tatanka.
Some of the bosses did show up in
Birdo
some of the bouts of media.
Obviously, for obvious reasons, but not much of the others.
Ah.
Hooray.
Well done.
Well done.
I really like. I really like that jingle. Dun, 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 dun.
So anyway, one thing that's also different is you get 3 stages per world.
Yes, keeping up with the different structure, this game clearly has a slightly different structure in the sense that there's not a consistent number of levels per world. But yeah, you can tell they were already designing it in some way that would later become the prototypical structure of Mario games. But yeah, it wasn't quite properly finished yet because again, this game was not designed with Mario in mind, and there are some aspects that do show that. I'm actually going to show some of it later. Go on.
Do you have some cheats on for this game?
Yes. I have an invincibility one, and later on, I'll even use again the same ones I've been using. Forgot these basically. Oh yeah, another thing that that's a huge improvement over both the NES and the Super Nintendo version is recovering health in this version is so much easier than the original versions, because in the original versions you have to basically do a combo, you know, like throw a vegetable at a group of enemies and or maybe do something like a power block thing. Okay, might as well introduce the power block. I haven't mentioned that. The power block is, of course, you know that power block that you see in Super Smash Bros. Everybody, it originated here. There you go.
Actually, from the original Mario Bros. Pedro.
Oh yeah, true. That is true. Well, I will argue it works quite differently in this one compared to Mario Bros. Classic, honestly. Because in that one you have to jump from the bottom like you would a normal block, and here you pick it up and throw it, so you can save it and take it with you for. So I will argue that.
True, but it functionally is the same. You hit it and it basically is kind of not necessarily a screen nuke, but it topples all the enemy down.
Sure.
I believe you can both pick it up, but you can also hit it as well to automatically set it off.
Sure. But my basic point is that in the original game and as well as the Super Nintendo version, you had to use a little, like you have to do a combo of scores to get an extra health point or even potentially get an invincibility star. Fortunately, in this game, they made it a lot easier because usually when you defeated a large enemy, you'll get a health point. There's also a health point that you pick up as you would vegetables. So yeah, replenishing your health in this version is a lot easier. So again, like Jova, I would also recommend this be your version that you play. Maybe when you master this one, you can go back to the original, but this one is definitely the one that's definitely more newcomer friendly. Yeah, I'm not particularly like. I feel like it's just one of those cases where you're just mashing the B button over and over and over. I feel like these sections kind of like they're not.
I feel like there is strategy to it because again, you gotta also keep in mind. Well, I mean, again, unless you're using cheats,
Sure.
are currently.
Yeah, true.
You have to keep in mind where they'll land. Essentially, in that case, so you have to think ahead. It's somewhat similar to Dig Dug in that.
Sure. Oh, there you go. See, look at that health point in the NES version. That thing is not there. So, like I said, replenishing your health in this version is a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This bit there sounds like Mario's on helium.
Just what I needed. Well, that's the thing though. Is like honestly, this particular time of Mario, the early 2000s, this is where I think Charles was at his apex, honestly. Okay. So yeah, how do we get
fire with fire?
So how do we get to Birdo?
Run away from it like you were doing just then.
Yeah, that's not gonna work because ceiling, I think.
I believe you can toss some stuff straight up in this game.
Oh, you can. It's just that, you know, like you have to find a way to reach that upper floor. So what to do, I wonder. I mean, you can't go through here, and this is just a health point. So what to do? Hold on. One thing that I will also say is that fortunately, while the screen crunch is definitely much better in this game compared to the other advanced games, There is also the thing that because there is still some amount of screen crunch, you still don't have as much field of view as you would have on the original versions. So sometimes you can miss certain things here and there, compared to if you're used to the originals like I am. Because I mean, if this is your first version of the game you're playing, like I'm guessing Jova was, yeah, definitely it will be much easier for you. But like when you're like me and you're used to playing the other versions and then you go to this one, yeah, anyway, this Birdo throws fireballs aside from the eggs, so you have to be careful.
I've always wondered if the reason they kept Birdo around was to suggest that Birdo was like the evil counterpart to Yoshi, like multiple versions of her and whatnot, also launching projectiles from the mouth.
A crystal!
Yay.
Very good.
And he failed.
Dun, 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 dun.
I like that announcer goes, choose a player, any player.
It sounded a bit like, I don't know who did that voice line, maybe Charles Martin, I don't know, but sounded a bit like the voice actor for Star Fox.
Honestly, outside of outside of the woman who voices Peach and Toad, I mean, I don't know exactly, but I get the feeling Charles does all the other voices, I think, because that voice in the narrator actually does kind of sounds like a variation of his Wario voice, kind of.
Of any kind.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. Alright, so next, okay, I think if I remember correctly, this is the stage that has that bit with the phases, isn't it? No, not yet. That's, alright, but there is actually one particular section that I want to comment on later. For now, it's just it's a very straightforward level, so we should be able to get to the boss. Remember, in most of these levels, you have to defeat Birdo, as well as the proper boss. To be fair, the original Super Mario Brothers as well as Lost Levels only had Bowser as the one and only boss battle. So this is technically already more boss variety than the previous game. It's still not much though. I do get a bit tired of fighting Birdo over and over and over and over.
There you go.
Oh, go on.
No, go on, Jova.
I am fine with Birdo's rep here. I consider Birdo to be kind of like, the recurring mini-boss in preparation for who's essentially the big boss at the end of each stage here and there. So I feel like as a structure, it works, especially as an evolution to the series as well. It's kind of ironic. Okay, remind me. In the original Doki Doki Panic game, were the bosses structure all the same too,
yes.
or was it just Birdo in that one?
Yes, Wes. The changes they made were minimal, at least in the original release.
Again, I will give it credit. Surprisingly, this game, despite being a restructuring of Doki Doki Panic, does feel in a lot of ways to be like a proper evolution to the Mario formula. And admittedly a step back in some regards, but I would say definitely more like a 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of scenario.
Personally,
since a lot of these changes I do feel like are some neat improvements to the formula.
Sure.
Not all of them again.
Personally, I think Super Mario Bros. 3 was definitely where the series definitely... Again, there's a good reason why the new Super Mario Bros. Series always uses Super Mario Bros. 3 as their blueprint, because Super Mario Bros. 3 was the one where definitely they got... Like, they took everything that was great about the original Super Mario Bros. And refined it, improved upon it, expanded so much upon it. And Super Mario Bros. 3 is regarded as the best NES platformer for a good reason. Like, it's just awesome. Like, back in the day was obviously incredibly successful, both critically and financially, and it's still a classic.
Yeah,
and yeah, every time you get one of these keys to open the doors, there's this mask. In fact, let me check it back to the manual real quick. Now that since
while you're going there, just to mention, I found it. And yes, you're correct, Pedro. Charles Martinet does the voices for Mario, Luigi, Claw Grip, Triclide, Mauser, Fry Guy, and Wart themselves, while Jen Taylor voices Princess Peach, Toad, Birdo, and Roberto.
So basically, Charles does the male voices and Jen does the female voices.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Simple job.
So it's a Mickey and Minnie Mouse scenario.
But I mean, throughout this era,
Oh, but what's this? We get the crystal right there.
both of them are doing all the voices except for Daisy.
Let's see.
Yes, interesting.
Your enemy is
Fucking bubbles.
Oh.
Yeah, this boss would also later become one of the bosses in Zelda 1, by the way. Alright. Basically, just pick up the mushrooms and throw back at it, or the enemy as well. There you go.
God, that sound
I love his.
I'm getting flashbacks to Ridley in Metroid Fusion.
I love his pain when you're. Oh!
So, but here's a fun fact. Like, I'm looking at the original American manual for the NES version of this. Originally, Birdo in the West was called Ostro. It even says here, he thinks he is a girl, and he spits eggs from his mouth. He'd rather be called Birdetta. I'm not going to comment on that.
Yeah, so essentially, when you get down to it, Birdo was a trans rep before that became.
Anyway, I searched in the meantime, Pedro. Apparently, this I didn't know that because I didn't bother to check much about voice actor's name until recently. But Jen Taylor is also apparently the official voice actress for Cortana in the Halo franchise. I didn't know that. Sorry.
So, Pedro, would you say that Master Chief is Cortana's Mario?
It's interesting because I kind of wish she would use her Cortana voice for Peach personally, but that's just me. Anyway,
voice since like 2006, so.
Like, okay, so the basic point is Mauser is a bomber. So it says Mauser, as in Mauser is the title of the character, and then the bio literally starts with "It is a bomber of bad dreams." It is. I mean, I get it's an animal, but you
considered Mauser to be an it.
But Triclyde, the boss we just fought, is mentioned as a he. So why is Triclyde a he and Mauser an it?
Someone who did the manual is probably very confused. Moving on.
Clearly. Anyway, it is a bomber of bad dreams that destroys good dreams. It is proud and it doesn't believe that it is just a mouse. Okay. Triclyde. He was once an outsider, but now he is one of Wart's helpers since he impressed Wart with his cunning brain and offensive capabilities, which are 3 times normal strength. 3 times normal strength? What is normal strength?
Which is interesting because a lot of the boss interests seem to imply that Wart's actually powering these guys up for the battles prior.
This is not too dissimilar to what happens later on in Yoshi's Island, because it's Kamek basically enlarging all the other creatures of the island.
Speaking of which, Yoshi's Island is technically where a lot of these enemies would make their official chronological debut. What's so funny, Pedro?
No, I'm just checking something on the manual here. The final page is titled Compliance with FCC Regulations, and it says this equipment generates and uses radio frequency energy, and if not installed, it says here too that the cartridge.
Am I getting cancer if I actually play a physical copy of the game?
I don't know. It says here this equipment generates and uses radio frequency energy, and if not installed and used properly, that is, in strict accordance to the manufacturer's instructions, may cause interference to radio and television reception.
Weren't those the good old days when we feared that?
You weren't in our playthrough of the first Turtles game, Tale, but in the manual for that, they call the cartridge a cassette. Even though it's supposed to be an NES manual, and they call the NES a computer.
In some countries, these consider synonymous like mine.
I can get that logic, admittedly, seeing as how back then, I guess a game cartridge would have been seen as the equivalent of a cassette.
Similar structure, similar materials it was constructed with, instead of just having a magnetic tape, having instead a chip inside. But just also to mention this, because I didn't know that, Jen Taylor apparently was also cast in more recent times as the main villain of a Ruby web series.
Oh,
Really?
Salem drove up.
Wow. I'll
I didn't
admit, I
even use
did
she
not
was there, she
recognize
was there.
her voice in that regard. Well, granted, she goes for a much different voice as Salem.
Alright, let me get into the manual for Super
Speaking
Mario
of which, have they
Advance.
finally gotten around to dealing with Salem after all that
I
plot build-up?
stopped caring a long time ago.
I mean,
Alright.
I did too,
Yeah,
but I kind of
SCWRM
want to see this to
basically.
the end.
Yes, Pedro?
Okay.
Well, actually, hold on, give me just a moment so I can zoom in here, because I'm on Nintendo's website checking the manual for the Game Boy Advance version, see if it's oh yeah, this section. Allow me to talk about this. Yeah, this is another one of those things where you can tell this wasn't originally a Mario game. There's going to be certain sections where the game asks you to just pick up one bomb at a time to, you know, open up the path. Like so. Basically, and you have to always pick. Since you can only bring up one bomb at a time, basically, it's this constant thing where, in order to progress through the room, you have to, you know, progress and pick up one bomb at a time to get through all these walls. And it's one of those things where it just kind of breaks the pacing for me. I feel like that kind of thing doesn't really. And again, the fact that no other Mario game has done something like this since kind of shows what I mean. But anyway,
Which detail exactly?
what? Sorry.
Did you reiterate what detail that was supposedly never repeated?
I did. The fact that there's, I just explained. Like there's sometimes
Okay,
room.
could you repeat it?
There's rooms with bombs, and you have to slowly pick up one bomb at a time to get rid of all the various walls, so you can progress through the room.
I feel like we've gotten some gimmicks reminiscent of that, although obviously not entirely like that.
And this one you have to actually
this-
throw the bomb with a specific timing, so it only explodes. Yeah, like so.
Wonderful.
That's a bit. 3D World actually did kind of bring this back with the soccer bombs, since there were some levels that used those. Though, again, those were, you know, I mean, obviously the way those worked weren't the same as this. I do feel like that was a callback to that, though.
It was. They were much easier and quicker to use, I will say, though.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
so.
I think you made her mad.
Oh no! I mean, maybe I could defeat her using the exact same method I've used like a bajillion times already. But anyway.
Admittedly, if you didn't have cheats on, she might have hit you by that point.
Alright, so I'm seeing the story section on the GBA manual, and apparently the story is the exact same. Yeah, it kind of looks like they... Yeah, it kind of looks like they copy-pasted it, so it seems like it's the same thing. Mario, his skills are the
can see
most
the
balanced of the
story.
characters. Peach, he can float in the air for about 1.5 seconds when you hold the A button down. Luigi, he's got loads of jump ability, but he's rather slow. And Toad, he has the weakest jump, but lots of power. There you go.
I like how that mushroom sticks to the
In fact,
wall there.
let's see if the... Oh, there's no enemy section in the GBA manual? Huh. Oh, no, never mind. There is. Never mind. Oh yeah, anyway, in the GBA manual they corrected it. Birdo. Watch out for Birdo's special attack. The best way to deal with Birdo is to catch the eggs and toss them right back. So there you go. In the GBA manual they already reverted to the proper name Birdo. As for Mauser, Mauser destroys sweet dreams with his nightmare bombs. He's very proud. Oh, okay. So basically this is a better translation of the NES manual. Yeah, because in here they don't use it. So yeah, okay. So basically, we can just assume that the "it" thing from Mauser in the NES manual was just a mistranslation, probably.
Yeah.
So
From
the
what-
GBA version really is the definitive version.
Well, yeah, obviously.
So you're gonna
Yeah. They probably just took the NES manual and they fixed up whatever translation errors they could find. Because the story it looks like it's just there you go, bigger power block.
saving it for a rainy day, I see.
Mm-hmm.
Just.
Just
Yeah,
what?
this game is doing the same
Just
thing.
just what I needed.
It's like
Yeah.
the same thing that happens in Sonic 06.
Yeah,
Great.
Since me and my brother grew up playing this game, so it is something that we always quote to each other, like as always, "Ooh, just what I needed."
Yeah, I played this game in my childhood too as well. Which is why I always get a laugh when people are surprised when they figure out that a lot of the series' famous quotes originated from this game.
Just what I needed. Like it's three primary main lines that always stuck with me from this game. Just what I needed. Ooh, where he pick up a crystal and says, "A crystal!" And when you beat one of the major bosses, and he goes, "No problem." again, Charles Martinet is amazing, and he always throws out so much charm by just by saying things. So, anyway, Triclyde. Once an outsider, Triclyde was enlisted by Wart because of his evil cunning. Yeah, triple strength attack. Oh, in here they say triple strength attack. They didn't mention, instead of saying, oh, it's a attack that is the 3 times as normal strength, they just say triple strength attack. So yeah, basically they took the NES manual and they fixed up the translation, basically. From what I can see here. Not much more to talk about manual-wise. In fact, let me see if there's any cool, interesting sections about... Alright, tips. Physics and platforms, blah, blah, blah. No, that doesn't seem to be any interesting... Ah, thank you for selecting Super Mario Advance. Please carefully read the separate consumer manual, blah, blah, blah. No. GBA manuals don't have the FCC section. Shame. I always love those in NES manuals. Alright, moving on.
Well, I'm guessing the reason it doesn't have that is because by the time of the GBA, people maybe realized that, maybe those worries weren't as founded as we thought they were back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day, I just read the Portuguese manuals when there were Portuguese manuals. That was also kind of rare at the time.
Hey, remember when people thought that life expectancy went down the more you held a cell phone because supposedly they let off radiation?
Well, Jova, maybe that's exactly it. Just like NES cartridges, they generate radio energy.
Even generating the usual don't stay too close to the TV or your eyes will basically be damaged by it.
Oh, that's baloney? Because that still is something I hear tossed around a lot.
It's never really... It might cause damage if you really are that much exposed, to be honest, Jova, but not as much as people are fearing.
Also, jumping on plus symbols, apparently.
Oh my god, religion in a Mario game.
It's like it says here.
Definitely.
It's like it says here. See? The job here. This equipment generates and uses radio frequency. That's what happens with phones, Jova. They generate and use radio frequency energy. See? It also says...
Again, I have to wonder, was that actually founded research, or was that them just going on a scare of, oh my god, we shouldn't use this too much or we'll get irradiated to the point where we can't have children?
Who knows? It also says here, yeah, okay. It has been type tested and found to comply with the limits for a Class B computing device in accordance with the specifications in Subpart J of Part 15 of FCC rules. I don't know what that means. Which are designed to provide reasonable protection against such interference in a residential installation. It's okay, guys. They cover the cartridge with reasonable protection, it says here. However, there is no guarantee that interference will not occur in the particular installation. If this equipment does cause interference to radio or television reception, which can be determined by turning the equipment on and off, the user is encouraged to try to correct the interference by one or more following measures. And the measures are: reorient the receiving antenna, relocate the NES with respect to the receiver, move the NES away from the receiver, plug the NES into a different outlet so that control deck and receiver are on different circuits. So
what are we handling? A games console or a nuclear device?
Apparently. I mean, okay. Maybe this was just me, but back when I was a kid, I always had, and I still have to this day, my console set up to the exact same multi-socket thingy. And I've never had quote-unquote radiation problems. So, I don't...
By the way, those bad guys who were circling around the area, those are also bad guys who would come back in later Mario games.
Well, all of them do. Oh, crap. Robot Birdo. And Robot Birdo, for some reason...
That's something different.
And Robot Birdo doesn't really have a bio in the enemy section, neither on the NES manual nor the GBA manual.
I don't think Robot Birdo came back, actually.
Pretty sure Robot Birdo is just Birdo in the robot.
Yeah, basically, Birdo has different tactics because he will try to charge you, but aside from that, the same basic strategy. When he throws an egg, just throw it back.
The difference, though, is that this one can supercharge you, so be wary of that.
And yeah, as you can see, it takes a bit... Again, this is actually one of those cases where Toad is a really good character to use because he will lift up the eggs quicker.
Now again, do you also want to avoid getting hit by Robo Birdo? Hence, what the chains are there for.
Obviously. And throw. Oh Jesus.
Yep.
Let me just. Yeah, it doesn't say anything here. No. Cobrats, you'll find cobrats hidden in jars.
Cobra.
I love how the albatrosses the birds that we fly on are called albatosses. Huh? Get it? Albatosses? Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said albatrosses for a second there. I was like, whoa, what's your language
Oh.
survey?
Hold on, let me check what the NES version of this enemy is. Huh. Okay, you know how I just said that in the NES manual Birdo is called Ostro?
Yeah.
Guess what? The enemies on the shy, when you see a shy guy on an ostrich, that enemy is called Birdo. You see here, Birdo. He serves as a means of transportation in the world of dreams. Shy guys often. So the ostrich used to be the Birdo, and Birdo used to be Ostro. But in the GBA version, they reversed it. Ostro became Birdo, and Birdo became Ostro. There you go.
I'm wondering if originally the NES version they misworded them because.
Well,
how weird is it that the X?
go on. No, go on.
Maybe. I'm wondering if maybe originally Birdo was supposed to be Birdo, but they misnamed them in the NES version.
Possibly.
Could be. I'm not sure.
Yep. All right, everybody. In the next part, we continue progressing through Subcon. So see you then.
Yeah.
All right then.